back to Ebru today.
Thanks for joining us in what's been a very busy news day.
And it has been. Well, you're probably on Facebook quite often. A lot of folks are, maybe even right now. Multitasking as you catch up with news right here on Ebru today.
This year, Facebook is launching something called Timeline, but many are wondering, is this violating the company's privacy settlement with the Federal Trade Commission? And could we be at risk of privacy invasion and identity theft due to this feature? Well, joining us now for the answers to these questions and more is Ebru today's legal analyst, attorney Joyce Hilary. Welcome first.
Thank you.
What is Facebook? You can tell I'm not on it.
Neither am I, actually.
Oh, okay. You and me are the only two around the world.
I think we are.
What is the new Timeline feature?
Okay. First of all, I just want to mention one thing, if you don't mind. This settlement agreement, because this is really at the crux of this. Recently, Facebook and the Federal Trade Commission entered into a settlement agreement whereby Facebook is required to get consumers what they call express affirmative consent prior to exceeding their privacy settings. So that's at the crux of this.
So they basically have to ask you first.
Exactly.
If you can get onto Timeline, I'm assuming, right?
Well, it's really before the settlement agreement wasn't actually dealing with Timeline,
but just general Facebook.
It deals with the privacy settings.
Okay.
So then along comes Timeline. All right. What Timeline does, it takes everything you have done on Facebook from the time you first joined and places it in chronological order. It creates essentially a virtual chronological scrapbook of everything. So
regardless of whether you want to keep it to yourself or not.
Correct. And what the Timeline, the default setting for Timeline is public. So right now, Timeline is an opt-in. However, the issue is that Timeline is becoming mandatory. So
mandatory by whom? By
Facebook. Okay. So Facebook is saying,
right, if
you want to stay on Facebook, it will be mandatory that you use the new format.
But what about that opt-out you just mentioned earlier?
Okay. Right now, you don't have to opt in.
Oh, you don't have to opt in, but it's going to pull you in it, is what you're saying.
It will. And once you're in, you can't go back. There is no turning back. So people have already opted in. Okay. I know people who just said, oh, new format. I think I'll just, this is great. I'll just jump right in. But they don't realize how they're compromising themselves to issues concerning identity theft, privacy issues. Because as a result of Timeline, it encourages you to share even more of your personal information. Because Timeline has these drop-down menus, and they encourage you to do more sharing, or what I like to call oversharing. You know, what you tell your friends is one thing in privacy, but what you post is there.
It's much different.
Exactly. So the problem is that once Timeline is mandatory, well, they give you an option. They give you 7 days to clean up your Facebook, so to speak.
So that would mean delete anything you don't want on the Timeline.
Right.
You have 7 days to do that, and then you're automatically put into this Timeline program.
Yes.
As a Facebooker yourself, Brian, how does that make you feel?
Well, I certainly want to delete a few things.
Yes.
I mean, if you've been on there a long time, there are these friends, and then there are those friends.
Right.
And, you know, never the twain shall meet. But that does raise some interest. Now, here's something. If you want to just delete everything and start fresh, can you do that?
You would have to permanently delete, and I emphasize the word permanent. You have to permanently delete your account, and you would have to start all over again. However, I'd like to add, what you have posted on other people's pages, if they don't make their Timeline private or remove those postings, then your information that you've provided on those pages is out there for all the world to see.
But does it go back to yours, or we don't know that yet?
It's not that, well, if you've permanently deleted it, then
we can't.
You can't.
But it stays on there.
But, you know, we're in an age where it's friends of friends of friends. And, you know, which brings up another point. You know, perhaps it's time to evaluate who your friends are. You know, we think it's, oh, great, I have 100 friends, I have 200 friends, I have 500 friends, this is wonderful. But, you know, these people, you get into a point where you're not really realizing who these friends are, and you're sharing so much of your personal information.
Real quick, does this make Google Plus a more attractive option?
I think it might. I think it might.
You know, I'm curious, as an attorney, you're not on Facebook. Are you on any social media, and is there a reason you're not professionally, you know, from what you know legally?
I'm not on Facebook because I am a very private person.
Okay,
and
so
I
got
feel,
it. So it's not so much that you're legally frightened, you just are private like
well,
me.
I'm private and legally
Okay,
frightened.
so it's a combo.
It is a combo.
Got it. So
I'm
you're like
extremely
me.
private. Exactly.
Hands up, girlfriend.
There you go. I agree with you.
But there's more. This is an ongoing. We'll have you back for more, really.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so
you're very
much,
welcome.
really.
Well, in other news, it looked more